Hey folks, welcome back to Rugby Ascended. This is Chris with a little analysis of this past weekend's URC action, United Rugby Championship action. 4 South African sides, 2 at home in South Africa, 2 on the road in Europe, 4 wins. All of them interesting, some more interesting than others. And let's start off with the first game, which was at Ellis Park, and that was the Lions hosting Edinburgh. Wow, what a first half. 48-0 was the score at halftime. Edinburgh didn't know what hit them. The Lions came out all guns blazing, and they just pulled it off. It was amazing, absolutely incredible performance. A little bit disappointing and off-putting in the second half as they took their foot off the gas and gave up 3 tries to Edinburgh, who never gave up in this game. Got to give them credit. Tough start to the season for Edinburgh. Go 0-3 now. That's not pretty for them. And they were facing a South African side this coming week, and they're going to be angry. So let's hope that South Africans come out on top. But the Lions, what incredible performance at Ellis Park. Rob Makwane, unbelievable hat trick of tries, brilliant stuff. And they just played really well. I understand that Cade Volhouder may have been injured in this game, and waiting to hear what the outcome of that is. But fantastic work by Emirates Lions. Incredible stuff. Yeah, that was a great performance. Next up was the Bulls at home at Loftus-Versfeld versus Ulster. Ulster and Edinburgh swap places, playing Lions and Bulls one weekend and then the next weekend. And Ulster came out on the short end of this one. Wow, this is also a pretty impressive performance by the Bulls. 47-21 is the final, and they won this game running away. Some really great performances out there in this game. Let me look at my notes here and just tell you, I thought Villy LaRue was absolutely sublime in this game. David Creel had a pretty good game. Kirtley Arnsay. Yeah, it was a pretty great job. But I'll tell you, Elric Lowe was back again. He was just a Tasmanian devil out there. Fantastic to see him. And the Bulls pull off a big win, 47-21, to start their season 2-0. The Lions and Bulls now 2-0, but because they delayed the start of the URC season for the South African sides owing to the Currie Cup final, they've played one less game than the European sides, and they haven't moved up to the top of the log. But they are in playoff position, both sides, and it looks good going forward for the Bulls and the Lions. Turning our attention to Rodney Parade in Wales, where the Dragons looked like they were going to wrap this one up. The Sharks looked like they didn't want to win this game, and it was kind of a turgid performance by the Sharks early on. They did score a try in the 21st minute by Chuchuka, but then they were kind of quiet. However, they woke up towards the end of the first half in the 39th minute, getting a try from Hendrickson. And as the second half started, they must have had a heck of a tongue lashing from John Plumtree in the locker room, because it came out on fire, with Julius scoring in the 44th minute and then Ethan Hooker in the 48th minute. Fez Mbata got a try after the Hooter. Boy, what a finish. Listen, I think this is more the Dragons losing this game than the Sharks winning it, but we'll take a victory on the road nonetheless. That said, the Sharks really do need their Springboks to come back, because they looked a bit disjointed still. True, it's on the road, always a challenge going up north to the Northern Hemisphere, but the Sharks still need some work. Not convincing. Some people, including Planet Rugby, picked the Sharks to be in the URC final this year. They may very well get there, but not with the team playing like it is. So they get a win in their second week. And finally, the last South African test or derby of the weekend was the DHL Stormers on the road in Italy, in Parma, at Stadio Sergio Lanfranchi, where the Stormers' defense pretty much controlled Zebra Parma, or did they? Zebra Parma was their own worst enemy, causing themselves all kinds of fits and having a very disjointed performance. This comes on the heels of Zebra's incredible all-time performance the previous week, trailing against Munster and coming back and defeating them by 9 points, swinging the score 22 points. An historic victory for Zebra Parma. No doubt they're still living off that high, and their performance against the Stormers was not even remotely impressive. For their part, the Stormers dominated this game, but still not in a convincing fashion here. Tries from Leila Zas in the 40th minute finally gets that on. Hotzenbeg gets across at 59, then Zas again in the 72nd minute, and then Davids in the 78th minute. And Yuri Matia had a good performance, getting all of the conversions. But still not convinced. Stormers have a lot of work to do. Now they're 1-1, as are the Sharks. But all 4 South African sides win this weekend, and I'll take the wins, whether they're pretty or they're ugly. Dominating game by the Lions, dominating game by the Bulls. Just enough by the Sharks, and big win by the Stormers, but hey, it's Zebra Parma, not exactly Leinster. No insult intended for Zebra. Well, folks, I reached out to MV Velman. A lot of people saying, where did MV go? What's going on at Megaphone? Did something happen? Well, he's got some power issues up there in the Highveld, and I reached out to him, and we had a conversation about this weekend, and that's what we're going to listen to right now. MV Velman from Megaphone Sports, and this is in lieu of our Rugby Ascendant podcast or vlog over on his channel. Here's MV Velman and myself earlier this morning. Hey, folks, welcome back to Rugby Ascendant. And guess what? You know, the Rugby Ascendant podcast, their vlog that I do over on Megaphone Sport with MV Velman. Well, today he's in South Africa. Surprise, surprise. And imagine this. He's having network and power problems. Eskom Sepush. Let me check my app. Oh, yeah, that's why you have no power. MV, we're going to do something a little different today. I'm going to record on my program for you, give him a chance to say hello on this, really quickly get his thoughts on the weekend. So, MV, hoe gaan dit?
Yeah, it's al beter gegaan. I've had it better before. Thank you. It's not load shedding. It's an exploded power station, substation. So it's a new one. So we are forced to, move all our groceries to other people's fridges, take showers at other people's houses. My son is writing matric exams. Oh, my hands are shaking as I'm holding the phone up to my face. Sorry for the quality, but thank you for making the time to do this with me. I appreciate it.
No worries. Hey, listen, very quickly, since I don't want to keep you all day because your arm's going to get tired, but yeah. Okay. So listen, a really great weekend for South African rugby as far as the United Rugby Championship. That's all we had on tap this weekend. All 4 teams win, 2 home sides win, and both teams in Europe won on the road. Although the Sharks gave us all, a little bit of, chest pains there. Any quick thoughts on how the weekend went for South African sides?
The Bulls are going to win the URC. I think that's what I took from it.
Oh, gosh. I think you ate some of that spoiled food that was in your fridge.
Hasn't spoiled yet, though. I saved it in time. No, I think the Lions, for me, are the standout team at the moment. They had an exceptional first half against Edinburgh, but they went to sleep a little bit in the second half. That's a bit worrying. The squad they selected to go overseas is very, very strong squad. Some injuries again. Kate Voliter injured again. It's a bit of a concern that, but I think of all the South African teams, they can probably feel the happiest with the kind of players they have at their disposal. I'm looking forward to see what they can do this season. The Bulls, I think, played very well, but you must remember there was a very depleted Ulster side. But Jake mentioned after the game in the press conference the new balance they've been striking between the forwards and the backs. He was quite excited about that, and he called Willie sort of his general to achieve that balance. That's going to be something to look forward to. The Bulls look very strong. That team is exceptionally strong. I just don't know how far they're going to go. Jake was worried about running out of players, literally, running into problems with all the rest periods that he has to do, and he doesn't know who's going to play for the Springboks. He mentioned, for example, that a guy like Gerard Steenenkamp is now going on tour with the Bulls. They're coming back, but then Gerard's going to stay over there for the autumn series, and then he's going to stay over there for the Bulls to come back and play another URC in a Champions Cup game. So he's going to be away from home for 11 weeks. And it's not going to be the only Springbok. That's a big concern for me. I don't know. What did you think of the Stormers and the Sharks?
Well, I have to say this, the Sharks do need their Springboks back. They need Sia, they need Eben coming back. I tell you, that game, they were getting just slaughtered in the first half, and good determination, good team effort come back and really do well early in that second half. But then they kind of tailed off, and in the end, it's like nobody wanted to win this game. It was so frustrating. I was very frustrated at how many times they crashed into the line over and over again. I'm just waiting for somebody to knock the ball on. And they didn't do it. They managed to get the try, and the Dragons must have been heartbroken because they let that one slip away from them. I think it was more the Dragons let the game slip away than the Sharks won the game. That's my view on that game. And then the Stormers game, it's a big score line in the end, but I'm still not impressed by my Stormers. They've got some work to do, and we'll see what happens going forward, but I'm a little bit concerned about them still. And I'll go back with what you said about the Lions. I was very impressed by the Lions. A guy that's been impressing this season in Currie Cup, and now he's doing it again already in URC, and that's Rob McQuane. Man, that guy is, I know he got a hat trick, and it's why people think I'm saying good things about him, but he was all over the place. He was playing great defense. He was playing great offense. He was just a complete all-around player in this game this weekend. And yes, he did get a hat trick, but I agree with you. The Lions look very impressive. And they don't have tons of, Springboks coming back, and they're still getting this done. So I think that the rest of the URC better take notice of the Lions, but they've got to keep it up. They've got to be consistent. As far as the Bulls, yeah, I know the Bulls look great. They're lovely. They're wonderful. It's like a Trump story here. The biggest, the best, the best. No, the Bulls look pretty good. And I was impressed. But that Lions first half, oh my goodness. I was almost out of voice at the end of the first half, 48-0. And you're right; they took their foot off the gas pedal, the petrol pedal there in the second half. But across the board, hey, 2 wins on the road in Europe, I'll take it, even if they're ugly, even if it's against Zebra Parma, who last week had the biggest upset in their history, beating Munster.
Yeah.
Coming from behind. They outscored them 22 points, and wound up winning by 9 points. And then they turn around and they were their own worst enemy. And I think in this game, the Stormers did play some really good stretches, particularly in the second half, but they were playing Zebra Parma. If they'd been playing Leinster, they wouldn't have won that game the way they played. Just saying. And that's my thoughts on it. Any other comments before we wrap up?
Yeah, I want to ask you about that Zebra thing because they always start the season like a house on fire. Beating Munster, I mean, that is a big thing, and then just to fall, to such a big loss against the Stormers, it must set them back a bit. But they're always the underdogs, so I can't expect that much more. I'm interested to see what the Lions are going to do against Leinster. That's in 3 weeks' time, and then I'm going to see what the Bulls do overseas. Jake has got a bit of a fire in his eyes, a gleam in his eyes, if I can call it that. He's got plans. So I think I'm excited. I look forward to this season. I think the South African teams are probably all going to end up in the top 8. That's my thinking. Very early on, the one that may be a bit of a question mark, Stormers, but they'll get it together, I'm sure.
Well, I agree. I think that this season we'll see all South African sides go in the playoffs. And the thing look, if I want to say confident, I'm most confident that doing well will be the Lions, which was one that I talked about making the playoffs. But so far at the start of the season, their play has been pretty good. I mean, of course, to be fair, both games are at home. Got to see how they do on the road. That Leinster game is going to be huge. Normally, a Lions-Leinster game, I'll call the game, but I'm like, I don't get too excited about it. But I'm actually looking forward to that game. That should be pretty cool. And you're right. How the Bulls do on the road is going to be critical because the South African sides, especially the Stormers, and the Sharks do poorly when they travel to Europe for whatever reason. So, we'll see how it goes going forward. But I agree with you. But that Lions-Leinster game coming up is going to be a really exciting one. Usually I get excited about the Stormers and Leinster. Now I'm just going to be nervous when I see them play Leinster.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, Munster versus Leinster this weekend coming. That's probably going to be the game of the weekend. That's a big one. The two Irish giants, Munster coming off a loss of Zebra. Against Zebra, they recovered a bit last weekend, but they've got something to prove. And of course, Argus Neyman playing for Leinster against his old Irish club. That's going to be one to look out for.
I agree with you. That's going to be weird seeing him not wearing the Munster jersey, wearing a Leinster jersey. That will be very, very strange. I'm not just for players on the field, but those of us watching it. Yeah, that will be the game of the weekend. I don't think I'll be able to cover it because I'll be covering the South African sides, and they're not playing on Friday. So if I can, I will cover it. That's one of the games I will cover is a Munster-Leinster game when they play because it's always huge. But we'll see if it happens. Anyway, that's kind of how the weekend went. Pretty good for South African sides across the board. And listen, stay away from that spoiled, biltong. That you. I'll
tell you. And the worst thing is no one can give us any indication of what's going to happen, what's going on. When's estimated time to repair? It's now 2 days. And apparently, I'm still lucky. 2 days is like a walk in the park compared to what other people have put up to it. But anyway, it's not enough of that. It's just put up. So I haven't disappeared, people. I'm facing challenges, but like we all do. Thank you. Thank you for doing this, Chris. I appreciate it.
No worries. What I didn't tell people is that we have paid the ransom and you've been released and you're free now. We just can't get you home yet. It's
yeah, I'm having a beer.
All right. MV Velman from an undisclosed location somewhere in South Africa. It's always a pleasure. We'll chat later, and I hope you get your power back.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
And there you have it, folks. A wrap up of this week's previous weekend's URC action. We look forward to the next weekend. But South African sides all winning their games, 2 at home, 2 on the road. And we'll take that. All right. Let's look forward to next week, and let's try to win 4 more. Cheers.